Good afternoon, everyone. Ron Nicoletti along with Ashley May Ooh, and we are joining you today on Twilight Friday, about 1:06 p.m. The main track is fast. We've been dodging raindrops throughout the week, but the turf course listed is good, and let's hope we stay that way all day.
Yeah, let's hope. Yesterday we got some wet weather. It's kind of just been almost every day here for the last several race days, but we'll see. I know I look at the forecast. I don't know what 50% chance of rain means here. That means it could rain, it might not. It'll say 0, and it'll still rain, so who knows?
I would have been a fantastic weatherman instead of a handicapper. It might rain today, and you go home and get your check.
Exactly.
Right? Very easy. We got the Rainbow Six a little later on this afternoon, but of course, each and every Friday, now all the way through, we have the Stronach 5, which will show you a ticket a little later on, the All-Star ticket, but you can put your ticket together a little later on. Of course, we got Gulfstream, Laurel, and Golden Gate Fields involved.
Yeah, 3 racetracks in the fold, obviously just a couple weeks now away from Santa Anita's opening day, so we'll get them in the mix right now. But great to have the 3 tracks. When we got down to 2, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for that ticket and that wager in general. So now that we have Golden Gate, Laurel, and here, it's perfect.
I love when Santa Anita's involved, too, because you get some really classy early races out there in California, not out in California. With that said, let's go right to the first race today, 6.5 furlongs maiden claiming 2-year-olds. You got your early pick 5 ticket. We did have the scratch of the 1 horse earlier today.
Yeah, looking at this early pick 5 in the sequence here, actually singled today. I went 3 deep, though, in the first leg. I'll use the number 4, 7, and 8. My single comes in race 2. It is a maiden special weight event, which is usually not where I single, but I really like the number 2, Opalina, stretching out from 2 5/8 events to a mile today. I think the run style certainly suits her stretching out in distance. Now, in race 3, I'll use 2 horses. Obviously, we always talk about number 6, Pretty Rachel, been on a 4-race win streak, looking for 5 in a row now. But I think if anyone can beat her, it's going to be the number 1, I'm a Cocoa Pebbles. Race 4, 3 deep. It's a 5-furlong event on the turf course. This is for maiden 2-year-old fillies. Use 3 horses in there, the number 4, Sneaky Cheeky, as well as the price, the 6, Brass Band, and the 8 for Henry Colazzo. And then kind of looking at the last leg in the sequence, just 3 deep in there. I thought race 5 was a really tough race today. I couldn't single in here. Obviously, the big horse is returning for Steve Badu, the number 4, Eye of a Jedi, who was very impressive last time out in the grade 3 Go Zapper. Been a while since we've seen him, so I also used the 2 and the 3 in that spot to get some extra coverage. So the single allowed for that. $27, though, for the early pick 5.
Yeah, and I think we sort of in agreement here in the opening leg. I started, I don't know if you did, with the horse that's currently 7-5, and that's Back At Ya, who's dropping to the 16 level today and turning back to 6.5 furlongs after pressing the pace and fading against those maiden special weight runners, going to 1-turn mile. Kathy Ritvo, I think, spots this son of Mucho Macho Man where he should be effective.
Yeah, I mean, this is a $16,000 level of space maiden special weight competition in all 3 starts, whether it was dirt or turf. And I just think the drop in class should help, as well as the cut back in distance. Last time out was at a mile, cutting back to 6.5 today. New rider in the irons as well. And I never realized how well Kathy Ritvo and Christian Torres do together here at Gulfstream Park. 23%. So a really interesting stat to point out.
Well, I didn't use the number 8 here. I'm looking 7-2 on the morning line Federal Exchange, dropping pretty much from down to the $16,000 level today.
Yeah, it's kind of the same angle here with this colt by Fed Biz, just dropping in class. Tried a little bit of a drop from that maiden special weight to maiden 50 level last time out. The light bulb really didn't go on, but seems to be training well. Has that nice drill on the September 12th at Palm Meadows, second fastest of 18 at the distance in 48.3. So another one getting some major class relief.
I got some interest in the number 6 Reggio here, stepping up and stretching out after finishing. I thought a workman-like 4th in his 12-5 debut, going 5.5 furlongs for, a journeyman trainer, Luis Oliveras, and he's got Miguel Vasquez, who, as we mentioned yesterday, just going in great form, won 4 on Sunday. He's been right there, 90 wins, I believe, or a little bit more after yesterday. So I think that's a horse you might want to take a look at.
You mentioned yesterday, the runner-up in that race, Vancouver de Oro. I think we missed a little bit yesterday. We used the horse underneath, but basically it was a walk in the park to break the maiden on a jump up in class from 12.5 to 25. So kind of interesting to note that with this horse also taking a slight jump up in class.
Yeah, that horse won by about 20 lengths, it seemed like, that afternoon. I thought it was going to be a class check. Boy, was I wrong. Super Necessary is taking a necessary drop, I think, to the 16 level, switching to the dirt, failed to show much against those 35s, going 5 on the grass. Gustavo Delgado, I know you like these stats. What is he, 24% with the grass to dirt angle?
Yeah, it's a huge angle from the barn. I also like Gustavo Delgado after that 23-to-1 shot won here last weekend at the races. So interesting to look at this colt. I always feel like Gustavo's horses are on the bigger side, and I honestly don't have any notes here on what this horse looks like physically, but this is one dropping in class. You mentioned the surface switch, and Edgar Zayas is going to be the new pilot today.
If you want to be friends with Ashley, give her a 20-to-1 horse, and she's your best friend forever.
That is true. I'm always looking for a price.
Why not? Second race today, we're going on the turf. As if you're just joining us, the turf course listed as good. There's a mile turf maiden special weight state bred filly, 2-year-olds in here. I know you singled Opalina, and I think it's a good single now, especially with the scratch of the number 3 Castleborn, who I really like this afternoon, but not going to run because of the scratch. So tell us about Opalina.
Yeah, I feel like I got lucky there with that scratch because Castleborn was my second pick in here. Looking at Opalina, has finished second in both of her career races. They've both been at 5/8, which I talked about a little bit earlier. They've been against maiden special weight competition. Today she's against state bred, and she's stretching out. And I think when you look at her races, she's closing from off the pace. She typically has a lot of work to do. So as long as there's a little bit of pace in here and it's not pedestrian like early on in the race, I think she's going to get a great trip. And last time out, I know she was favored, but the winner, Diamond Wow for Patrick Bianco, and it was kind of a wow performance. This horse looked great, galloped out in front in the end. So I think she faced a pretty nice filly last time out. So I love her in this spot.
And ridden by Edgar Zayas, talking about a good day yesterday. Edgar Zayas, 4 wins yesterday. So we always, at the beginning of the week, we show the jockey and trainer standings. I forget the trainer ones, but the jockey one, Edgar was 1 behind. Now I think he's 2 or 3 in front. So I love the way that keeps changing.
Yeah, and it changes. I mean, you think of yesterday, 4 wins on an 8-race card. It's a pretty good day at the races.
The number 10, Royal Rocker, third on the turf, a couple of starts back, goes back to the grass today after stalking the pace, trying to finish 4th. That was going 7 on the main track. Mark Cassie got me yesterday. I know you used that horse. I didn't use that horse of his. Has Miguel Vasquez handling the surface switch today. Royal Rocker on the outside. I mean, you have it a little further down on your ticket.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with her because I do think she is part of the pace scenario when you look at this race. I know last time out, she kind of was pressing the pace and tired, but it was on the dirt. When you go back to her races at 7.5, I mean, she was part of the pace scenario and tired in both of them. There was an upset winner, though, 2 starts back when she was favored. I believe the horse was like 20 or 21 to 1, and she hit the gate breaking out. So I think going back to the turf, the mile is good for her. We'll just see if she has enough to kind of last in there.
And Cape Town Candy, now in the Enrique Torres barn. This is a daughter of Uncaptured, faces state-bred special weight company. Really a solid $35,000. That was against Open Maidens while in the Juan C. Avila barn. So I don't know if this was a purchase or a personal purchase or whatever. Well, the reasoning is, but this horse, I think, once again, we said this a lot, looks like a lateral move to me.
It does look like a lateral move, and I like that you pointed out now in New Connections because it's been an interesting path for her. She was claimed on debut, made 1 start in the Juan C. Avila barn, and now joins the Enrique Torres barn. So a lot happening with her, but I love the performance second time out. You have to think she can kind of step up here, and I love looking for that price, as you mentioned. So I think she might offer more value than the others we touched upon.
Well, let's go to race number 3 this afternoon. We're back on the fast main track. It's a mile for Phillies claimers, 3-year-olds of 4 and up who have never won 2 in life, and a field of 7. And as you alluded to, we'll go back, and Pretty Rachel has been pretty darn good. We're going to show from the 8th hole when she just cruises away from the horse you used on your ticket. I'm a Cocoa Pebbles, and also Love and Living is in there. More of this is just I wanted to show you how easily this horse and how good this horse has been going. Marco Menes is back in the saddle today. This was just a jiggy jog in the park.
Very easy win. Look at her right there, kind of being held up a little bit in the end just to reserve some energy, excuse me. But the big thing with her, she's versatile. She doesn't need the lead. She can close from off the pace. I decided not to single her in the sequence just because, for me, I don't know. I'm a realist. At some point, I think the win streak's going to end. I don't know if it's going to be on a jumping class or maybe she just faced someone who's a little bit better in her next race. So I think the way she's won, she is the horse to beat on paper. She's beaten several in here, but you never know. Someone may be able to change the tables.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I always like when you get a horse that just jumps off the page. You know, it's hard when you're dealing with lower-level claimers to put a win streak together like they did. And I think the logical one, as you mentioned, to maybe upset her is the number 1, I'm a Cocoa Pebbles, who's going to break from the rail, who finished second. You just saw her behind her consecutive races, actually. And this is one is trained by Juan C. Avila.
Yeah, she won 2 races in a row pretty nicely, her second and third lifetime wins. Now, she has been second in her last 2 starts, but we mentioned Juan Avila again, and you look at those races. She was claimed 2 starts back, so I wanted to show a trainer stat here for the connections, how well they do second off the claim the past year. 3 for 18, 17%, 8 for 18 in the money, so 44% there, and $1.42 ROI. Sammy Camacho's back in the irons today. Piloted her last time out and piloted her to a 10-length win several starts ago. I just thought there was maybe a little bit of room from improvement, just being more familiar with the barn.
I got some interest in a 12-1 shot in this race here, and that's Queen Street. And I'll tell you why. This one is dropping to the 12-5 level on the main track. Returned from the layup, showed that speed in that race to tire. That was against 35 claimers, going a mile in the 16th on the turf. This is a one-turn mile. David Forks, MCL Jaramillo, surface switch today. Sort of a sneaky play for me in here. I think this horse is going to run well on the dirt.
Well, it's sneaky, too, to go back. You mentioned her maiden win. The runner up in there came back to win next time out, and so did Love and Livin'. But what about the start before that? I know she was well defeated, but it wasn't just any racehorse that kind of crushed the competition. It was our Adios Jersey, trained by Georgina Baxter, who's undefeated, won the Charlestown Oaks. So it tells you, she was defeated by a really nice horse, and now surface switch and second off that layoff. I mean, she's only going to be making her third start of 2021.
Yeah, and 12-1, and you're getting good connections, as I mentioned, with Dave Forks, whose Saban has been going great, and MCL Jaramillo, who was the leading jockey until about 4 hours ago, or whatever, 14 hours ago, whatever that, you add that up. I don't know how to do that. Who else you got to get me out of the mess?
Yeah, we got to stop. Your mathematics isn't your strong suit, Ron.
No.
I also use the number 2 Hot Babe in here, who comes out of a $20,000 claiming event. Now, the last 2 have been on the turf, but I think it's interesting, though, if you go 3 and 4 starts back in June and July, they were turf races, they were run on the main track, and she was a dominant winner in both of them. One of them, she closed from more of the back of the pack. The other one, she was kind of just pressing the pace throughout. So for me, like this filly getting back onto the main track, I just think a minor share at best.
Well, let's take a short break. I'll get my abacus so I can add up how much my Rainbow Six ticket costs. I'm not good with math. You heard it just there. But take a break. We'll be back, and I'll have everything ready for you as far as Rainbow Six is concerned.
In the 2 path. Ground on her inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 yards out. It's last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today, Ron and Ashley. It is Twilight Friday. We're about 1:20 in the afternoon. And let's take a look at my Rainbow Six ticket, which is going to start with a 5-furlong turf event. 43.20. I had to go back to my 43.20. I had a good week with the Rainbow Six, but I missed 43.20. 4, 6, and 8 for me. Sneaky Cheeky, Aretes, Chalice, and Brass Band. I think are logical contenders in there. In race number 5 this afternoon, Eye of the Jedi, multiple graded stakes, placed 6-year-old in Glory of Florida in there, trying to get a little price with Laura Cesares. But you got 2 from Terry Pompania, and I used one. I didn't use them on my tickets. We had a scratch of Orson Roar, just a late scratch. So in race number 6, I just went with the 2 and the 7 in there, Nikki Can and Romantic Tale. Race number 7, I got some coverage with Hard 10, Samarate, Eastern Symphony. Race 8 this afternoon, just 2 horses in there, and that is the number 7 Brasstown, who's actually my best bet today. But I was afraid of Trapezoid, so I ended at 1. And I know we both have some interest in the number 3, Wow Tap It, on the breeding angle in the last race. I believe it's your long shot and my long shot in that race. But the scratch is Solar Girl, I think, is going to hurt our price.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to hurt the price in the nightcap. I think looking at your ticket, we're pretty much on the same page in a lot of ways, except for race 8. I used a couple other horses, I believe, in my late pick 4 ticket. So excited to talk about that race. Looks like to be a good one on the program.
Well, race number 4, 5 furlongs on the turf, maiden claiming filly, 2-year-olds, $35,000. Just one scratch thus far. The number 9 horse, Pete Aiello, will certainly update you with all the scratches when we are off the air. And we both started with Sneaky Cheeky, who's dropping to the 35 level for Jeff Engler.
Yeah, I loved this filly on debut. She was my long shot. She finished 3rd. I think when you looked at the trip, she had to go wide in there. It wasn't ideal, but it was still a strong debut. And I'll be honest, I was actually disappointed last time out. She finished 7th in there. I just thought she was going to perform better second time out. She seemed to tire in there as well. Now, she did have to go wide, so you can give her some excuses, but I still would have expected a better performance. We already talked about that race earlier, though. Opalina, my single earlier on in race 2, finished 2nd in there. Diamond Wow for Patrick Biancone, the winner. But the big thing now, she's taking a drop in class. She's going to be in for the $35,000 tag today.
Yeah, and that's what lured me to to put her on the ticket, on top of the ticket. But we both used the number 8, Arete's Chalice. Who you think is expected to take a positive step forward today after tracking the pace? I thought finished a workman-like 4th in a career debut at this level and distance. Henry Colazzo, his barn, he doesn't start many horses. He's had a couple of really bomber wins. I don't think you're going to get big price with this one, with Chantal atop this daughter of Cantharos.
You mentioned that. That probably means the number 7 Miami Souvenirs is going to win 12-1 the better price, and also a runner out of the Henry Colazzo barn. But Arete's Chalice, I thought it was a good debut as well. It was at the level, it was going 5 furlongs. You mentioned they've just been getting some prices. I like that Chantel's back aboard today, and there's certainly room to step up.
And Brass Band is the daughter of Senor Swinger, debuting from Mike Lorado with Christian Torres named to ride. Just a horse that I thought, after the 4 and 8, I thought the race was pretty wide open.
Yeah, I think you're kind of probably throwing darts at that point. But with Brass Band, I looked at the pedigree and top side and even bottom side. I think turf is probably the right move. When I saw the mare, Stormy Atlantic mare, that screamed turf to me in a lot of ways. But the workouts, I know there's been plenty of them. Some at Winding Oaks, the last 3 at Gulfstream Park. But I've loved all the works here. They've all been below 49, so most recently 48 and 3 here over the good going. I thought the price might be right.
Let's go to race number 5 this afternoon. A 1 mile allowance optional claimer, 4-year-olds and up. The optional claiming price $62,500. This is where the late pick 5 will kick off. And boy, what a nice race it is.
It is a really nice race. Obviously, it's highlighted in the 6-horse field. The number 4, Eye of Jedi, who was just so impressive last time out in the Grade 3 Ghost Zapper. Was a 5.5 length winner. Just a huge performance, a 100 career buyer speed figure. The big thing, though, that's all the way back at the end of the championship meet. Last race on March 27th.
But let's go back and show you that we'll pick that up in the stretch. I thought it was a really nice performance. And there you see Last Judgment. 6-5 was dueling early in the race. And Eye of the Jedi just found another gear through the stretch. They went pretty quick, to the half. But I just thought this horse not only won, it just drew off to win it impressively. And Ashley, I know you noticed this, like everybody will. The workout pattern for this horse coming back is really strong.
Yeah, you see his works on the paper here. I got 5 written down. The most recent, 46 and 3, breezing from the gate. That was back on September 11th. I mean, obviously he's kind of signaled he's ready to make his return to the races. He's a 5-time winner locally here over the main track. We already mentioned he's a great stakes winner. And I want to say too, I want to mention when you look at his races in 2019 and early 2020, very different than the version we saw of him earlier this year. I thought he was just a better horse as a 6-year-old. He had the dominant win, but he was also second in the Grade 3 Fred Hooper behind Performer. So I just loved the way he was going. Obviously, he's been sidelined for some time, but excited to see him back here at Gulfstream.
Yeah, and Steve Badu, the trainer and owner, just took his time with this race here. And I know that in our office mate, Ed, is very happy. This is his favorite horse coming back for him. Boy, this is the horse that's going to beat me today. I already know it. Squeeze Adios.
There's 2 for Terry Pompey in here, and I know you use Cool Arrow a little higher than I do in here. I think Squeeze Adios is interesting. This horse is going to just make the second start of 2021. And first off, I just want to show a trainer stat here for Terry Pompey and kind of the work that she does with this runner in kind of these sorts of horses. I had to do some kind of digging to figure out what stat I was going to make here. So I wanted to look at second off 6 months or more. I put a cap on it at 2 years to be specific. But over the past 5 years, what an angle. 7 for 21, 33% in terms of wins, 43% in the money with a $7.46 ROI. So this just shows you Terry Pompey is very strong with getting these horses ready to roll second off a long layoff. I think when you look at the most recent race, several in here are exiting it, including the horse directly to his inside and outside. Finished third in there. It was a respectable performance, and I think there's room to improve.
You learn something every day. 720 days is 2 years. I didn't know that.
Close to it. Close to it.
Close to it. Well, race. I used the number 3. You had a little further down. Gloria Florida figures on what have you done lately angle to me. Drew clear to defeat this familiar competition. Of course, not Eye of the Jedi at this level and distance. Laura Cesaris, pretty solid, winning consecutive races. So I just thought off that performance that this horse has a chance to run well, especially if Eye of the Jedi might need one.
Now, this is the horse when I don't use. He typically wins. You mentioned one last time out. Prior to that, I think you look at the effort in the Mr. Seal. They gave him another shot in the the turf. He's never really preferred it. So, staying on the dirt is the right move. He's a 6-time local winner, 4 at this 1 mile distance. He's just a major player. You have to respect him. These horses, you can see, they've kind of square off every now and then, or some of them more often than others, a big player.
And Cool Arrow, with Chantal, the other one for Terry Pompey. Apart from the rail, made that 5-wide bid to finish second behind Gloria, Florida. So I just thought, longer price than young coupled entry. I'm really excited to see Eye of the Jedi come back and see how this horse runs today. But as you said, tough place to single because you just don't know what you're going to get a horse coming off whatever that layoff you had, 180 to 720. So
yeah, and he's had layoffs in the past. That's the only thing I'll say. We saw him finish second in before finishing second in the Grade 3 Harlan's Holiday. He had some time off and performed well. So he seemed to be okay off the layoff before, but you never know.
As we mentioned, the Stronach 5 starts today, and this is leg B of the Stronach 5, our 6th race this afternoon. A pretty significant scratch here that we got just before we came on the air with Awesome Roar. This one, 5 furlongs on the turf, allowance optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Optional tag is $25,000. You got your late pick 4 ticket here.
Yeah, so I think the scratch of Awesome Roar is a huge one in here. I'll use 3 runners, though, in my ticket. I'll use the number 2, 5, and 7. Drop a hint in Romantic Sale, probably going to be some of the better prices in there compared to maybe the 2. I think the 2 is going to take some play in there. Race 7, 3 deep in here. I use the number 1, Hard 10, the 3, Eastern Symphony, as well as the number 6, Amaranti for Gustavo Delgado. Race 8, 3 deep as well. I know you like Brasstown. He's the one that I think I use in the 4th spot. I like Trapezoid in this spot. I like Nacho Papa. But Mead, I think Mead can offer value, and I'm curious to see what he's going to do because the last time out he was second, well defeated. But I think Tune In's a pretty nice horse that beat him, so I feel good about his chances. And then finally, race 9. Didn't know what to do here. I did like Solar Girl, so I was going to originally use Wow Tappet and Solar Girl, so I just went with my original 3rd choice, Renee's Dream Girl, as my 2nd pick there in race 9. So $27 once again. Maybe this is my lucky number today.
$27, and as we mentioned, so I had the number 1 Awesome Roar on top of my ticket. By the way, the 5 will be ridden by Edwin Gonzalez. Not a lot of scratches or jockey changes today. Number 2, Nikki Can, beating the nose when finishing second in front of Awesome Roar. That was back in July, who I thought Awesome Roar was going to be the big favorite in here this afternoon. Drops after failing to rail in a repeat win at Choose Joy in back-to-back $60,000 overnight handicaps. Joe Cantonese, boy, he was close again yesterday. Almost got a shot, horse home on top. Marcos Meneses. It's a 6-year-old daughter of Catharos. So
I was just kind of flipping through here and looking at the race and who's won this year. And most of the field is still looking for their first win on the year. This one actually hasn't won since 2019. So it's interesting that we both pick a horse that hasn't made its way into the winner's circle in a while. But I just think from where she's been, this is class relief. Those last 2 were overnight handicaps. She had to face Choose Joy, who we know is such a formidable foe here at Gulfstream Park. And I just think this is going to be better for her today on the drop. And honestly, she doesn't have to face Awesome Roar now.
I had the number 5 horse I know you had in second. I had a little further down, and it's Drop a Hint. As I mentioned, the one ridden today by Edwin Gonzalez.
Yeah, this one's out of the Herman Walensky barn. 3 for 4 in the money at the distance, just 1 win. Has been going longer on the dirt and the turf in those last 3 or 4 starts. I think this one's interesting. Just looking at Gulfstream Park, last time out was second. It was on the main track, but second to a nice horse, Sprout Wing. So I know you had next time out on top as well and came back to win. So it's been facing some decent competition and now going to be sprinting on the turf for the first time in over a year.
And then number 7, Romantic Tale, stepping up to face these really hard-knocking campaigners after the game maiden score at the distance for Herbert Pinnock, and you got Luca Panici at top. Maybe this horse can, I think the race is completely wide open now with the scratch of Awesome Roar. So I think you go back, and if you have a chance to go deeper on your ticket, or even when you're doing the Stronach 5, this might be a good spot.
Yeah, I was just going to say, she's the only winner this year, but now she has a tall task of trying to win 2 in a row.
2 in a row, and these are tough runners in there, even with the scratch of the 1 horse. Race number 7 is a mile claimer, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 in life. And I went with the number 1, Hard 10. You went with Samarani. Let's go back and look at the last race. We'll pick it up from the 8-pole home when Hard 10 and Samarani dueled through the stretch. It was a pretty good race, but they couldn't get 3 to 5 Kiger, who I thought was getting beat this day. Did not happen.
He still looks beat right there, Ron. It looks like everyone. It's a cavalry charge. There's a blanket of horses there. I still think he's beat. He's still beat. And somehow he finds enough to just get his nose down at the wire. And let's also talk about Kiger there. That was a huge drop in class for Kiger in that field. So he was, he's 3 to 5 for a reason in there. That was the reason behind it. But these other 2, I mean, You got to pick one of them in here based on that performance. To me, one was second, one was third. It was about the same.
Yeah, we'll start with hard 10. It's going to depart from the rail after breaking. This one broke from the outside last time, which was post 8, and you saw it rallied in. Was this one I thought was in the most of the tight quarters in that race? It was a great finish to come within the neck of notching his 2 lifetime condition for Jorge Delgado. Chantal returning. It's a gelded son of Uncle Mo. But you can make the same case for Samarati almost.
Yeah, when you look at Hard 10, too, we've mentioned this before. He's a 4-year-old. He's purchased in the Keeneland September sale as a yearling for $875,000. His new connections picked him up several starts ago for $20,000, and I know he's dropped in class, but he just missed last time out. I had to toss a coin here, and I went with the horse that I'm hoping is the better price.
Well, he took the overland route last time. He was 6 wide in that race. Now we only showed it from the 8th pull home. Gustavo Delgado, Christian Torres returning on that violence gelding in that race. Then we both used the 3 Eastern Symphony, who's making her local return after facing tougher in Kentucky, which includes that duel for the lead and fade 4th. It was against those 2 lifetime claimers, going to mile in the 16th. Tough meet, Keeneland in April. Murat Sankal, I think spots this son of Daredevil perfectly against these 6,250 runners.
Yeah, this is certainly a drop in class. Hasn't been seen in some time, though. So that's why I use this one a little. We both used the horse in the 3rd spot. I couldn't endorse this horse any higher, but I will say Murat Sankal brought another horse from Keeneland off a long layoff, and it performed okay first time out.
Race number 8 this afternoon is a 1-mile starter optional claimer. 3-year-olds and up started for $8,000 or less, or the optional tag of $16,000. And we will go to race number 8, and we do have a jockey change on the 1. It's David Baracco, and I love Brasstown in the spot, and trying to make it 3 in a row after using his tactical speed to defeat this familiar competition in consecutive races at the distance for Antonio Sano. Edgar Zayas is going to go for the hat trick, and I just thought that this horse was going to sit that perfect trip. You know, he doesn't have to be on the lead, can just sit off the pace this afternoon. So I went with Brasstown on top of my ticket.
I'm confused what's going to happen in this race when you look at paper, because you mentioned he could sit, but last time out, he was the pace setter in there. He took them gate to wire. They still went 46 to the half. And when I start looking at some other races, I'm not saying he won't get pressure if he wants the lead, but I still think in this spot he can make the lead, and maybe that's what makes him dangerous. I thought that could maybe make him a little vulnerable, even though he showed last time out he can do it. So I used him further down. I do think this is a wide open event, though, with several directions. I just went to the number 5, Trapezoid, who I know you also like in this spot, but Brasstown, I couldn't use him on top.
Well, you know, Trapezoid, no slouch in the win department. He's going to try and turn the tables on Brasstown. You know, he came off the bench last time, finished second behind him for Jorge Delgado. You got Chantal in the saddle today. So it's a 5-time local winner. Certainly can win this race.
He certainly can. And I think this one is going to be better second time out. That was his first start since late May. I think he's going to improve. It's an 18% angle for the barn. We always talk about Chantal, Jorge Delgado, a good pair. So I'm just counting on that. I think he's capable of improving, because let's not forget, in the spring, you know, late winter, early spring this year, he did beat several runners in here, including Brasstown and Meade.
Number 2, Nacho Papa, claimed in 5 consecutive races. We had Nacho Mama yesterday. Now we got Nacho Papa today. Steps up for the new trainer, the newest trainer, Juan C. Avila, after drawing clear to defeat those state-bred optional claimers going this mile distance. Edwin Gonzalez. Boy, this horse is popular in the claim box.
He's very popular. What was your quote yesterday? More popular than hot dogs on the 4th of July.
Exactly.
I mean, he's claimed all the time. Pretty dominant winner last time out. He's won 2 of his 7 races so far this year. The only question about him, and looking at him, several others have beat him several times in here, but joins a new barn that does well first off the claim. They've had a good meet, and he's coming in here with some confidence.
I know you had some interest in Meade today, so I mean, I put it further down, but in Meade, you're going to get a pretty square price with Leonel Reyes in the saddle.
Yeah, you kind of look at him in here, and I know he's earlier this year he was able to beat several in here, and not recently. He's kind of been second or third and kind of hangs around for a minor share. I was just keen in on his race last time over the slop. I thought it was a good performance. I know he was beaten by 7 lengths and it was a compact field, but Tune In, to me, is one of the nicest local horses in kind of that allowance optional claiming level and those sorts of competition, and got into that race. So for me, I like the performance last time out. I know it's a compact field and the races can be more strategic, but just thought he might be able to sneak in here.
Well, we're going to end the day with 12 horses going 5 furlongs on the turf, so it is not an easy task in here. They scratched the 5. That looks like the 13 will get in and run, and 13 was 7-5 on the morning. I think he's got a shot here. I went back and added it to my ticket just at the bottom end, but I'm in agreement with you with the number 3. Wow, Tappet is the daughter of Cairo Prince out of the Tappet mare, Tappet Baby Tappet. drop to the 25 level.
He's dropping in class. It's been a while since she's raced. You know, the last race was one of the first, actually the first 2-year-old race of the season. We should have faced Lucky Leo, who's just a runaway winner with that inside draw. So I think there were some excuses there. Obviously, the barn does okay with maiden second time out at 12%, and they do well off the long layoffs. I'm just thinking class relief and new surface today might be the key for success.
Yeah, and the trainer, Amador Sanchez, he's pretty competitive with both the turf to dirt move and similar class drops.
Right.
His numbers are right up there. I went with the number 6 numeric in second. I actually had Solar Girl in second in here. The number 5, who I mentioned, was Scratch. And this one is dropping to the 25 level. Furl to earn a check when facing tougher in the trio 5 furlong turf sprints. So I just think the drop will help this horse today. Christian Torres in the saddle.
Yeah, it is a bit of a drop from that $35,000 to $25,000. My only concern with her is I think when you look at those 5 furlong sprints, she hasn't been making up ground late, and I don't know if the class relief's going to be enough to get her on track in here. She's been 6th every single time, and she's usually beaten by 8 to 10 lengths in there on average. So for me, I need to see more from her to actually be able to endorse her.
Well, the one, Renee's Dream Girl, I think has a shot in here. I originally had this horse a little further down, like in 4th or 5th, and actually replaced it with the 13, who I thought would run well if this one got in. So I can understand using this one, highly rated.
Yeah, she's going to take a slight cut back. Those races the last 2 times have been at 6 furlongs on the main track. She's going to try the turf for the first time. She's also going to get first blinkers, which I've learned my lesson the hard way. Antonio Sano first blinkers on, 27% from a sample size of 30. And I mentioned she's shown some early foot, so having the inside draw, I wonder if Edgar Zayas just says, hey, we're going to try to steal this on the front end. We're in the perfect position to.
Well, that is the Friday Twilight card. Don't forget, a couple of those races are in the Stronach 5 sequence. But now we're going to turn it over to our lightning round this afternoon. And talking about the Stronach 5, a perfect segue, you know, we put an all-star ticket together, and let's show you that all-star ticket right now. And there you see it, and this is a ticket that I put together with Matt Dinnerman and Naomi Tucker up at Laurel, and Matt, of course, out in Golden Gate Fields, and yours truly does the races here from Gulfstream Park. We stepped it up this week with a $188 ticket. I think it paid $24,000 last week or something like that.
Yeah, I paid $24,000. You know, that dollar payout obviously was huge, and it looks like you've put in the 2 races here, race 6 and race 7. I always say we got to make a change to race 6 though before we punch it. The one awesome roar being scratched.
Yeah, we'll change that when we get on. We just saw this now, so we'll change that a little later on and with my 3rd horse. Laurel, our sister track up there, big day tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, we got 4 stakes. $500,000 in purses. And one of my favorite races over the years, the Frank DeFrancis Memorial Dash, grade 3 event. So it should be a great day up there.
Yeah, it should be a great day. 12:40 is the first post, so I'll definitely be kind of keying in on that action. But you mentioned to have that many stakes races and $500,000, it's going to be a really solid day of racing.
Yeah, and that turf course is fantastic at Laurel. I mean, really, I know you've seen it numerous times. It really is, and it's in great shape, too. And then we got, not bad, we got 3 stakes here on Saturday. So we got a couple of 2-year-old stakes, and I just wanted to show you one of those, and that's the $60,000, the City of West Park, and this is for the 3-year-olds on the main track. And Papa, too, boy, doesn't miss many dances.
He doesn't. I think we've missed him more than he's missed his dances. I feel like he snuck up on us on a couple times. You can see a couple for Safi Joseph Jr. in here. But looking at the morning line even, I think there's other, you know, there's some horses pretty close in price. We mentioned Papa too, but Flamingo Hawk, Poppy's Pride. It's a compact field, but I think it's very competitive. And I will say, I already looked at it. I'm curious about the number 3, My Main Man. I think he's a sneaky horse in here.
No, good at 6-1. So that's one of 3 stakes. These are the 3-year-olds. We got the 2-year-olds, the fillies, and of course the colts and geldings in there. And then our other sister track. Let's keep this going here. Santa Anita. They just announced they're going to hike their winter spring stakes purses up to $16.47 million. They are going great guns out there in Santa Anita when they get going back.
Yeah, I don't think you have that much money in your coffee cans in your backyard. That's a lot of stakes in the purse account. That's a lot of money on the line. They're just getting ready to kick off here in just about 2 weeks. So excited to see racing return there. We already mentioned with the Stronach 5 in play. We'll get them back in the fold, and all 4 tracks will be up and running.
Well, that's how we see our lightning round, our 9 races this afternoon. We'll be back throughout the afternoon. You guys have a great afternoon.